We're going to go ahead and get started. Good morning, everyone. My name is Rich Ruiz, and I am the captain at the Los Angeles County Sheriff's Department's Special Victims Bureau, which oversees the Los Angeles Regional Human Trafficking Task Force. I want to thank everyone for joining us today for the press conference on the 10th annual Operation Reclaim and Rebuild. Operation Reclaim and Rebuild is an annual coordinated statewide law enforcement effort to impact one of the most heinous crimes of modern times, the sexual exploitation of another human being for profit. This year's operation took place between January 21st through January 27th, 2024. With me at the podium today are representatives from some of the over 95 human trafficking teams, task forces, and law enforcement agencies from throughout the state who joined with the LA Regional Human Trafficking Task Force in this operation. I want to recognize the following partner agencies who are with us today. Deputy Chief Alan Hamilton, Los Angeles Police Department. Special Agent in Charge, Eddie Wang, Homeland Security Investigations, HSI. Sheriff Chad Bianco, Riverside County Sheriff's Department. Los Angeles County District Attorney, George Gascon. Commander Greg Gonzalez, Simi Valley Police Department. Chief Stephen Zipperman, Los Angeles School Police. Chief Cecil Rambo, Los Angeles Airport Police. Chief Probation Officer Guillermo Vieira Rosa, LA County Probation Department. Deputy Director Reginald Carter, LA County Department of Children and Family Services. Chief Operating Officer David Cox with the Zoe International. Executive Director Alan Smith with Saving Innocence. Senior Program Officer Hani Fellers with Slave to Nothing Foundation. And Chief Executive Officer Tara Hilliard with Forgotten Children. At this time, I want to introduce our sheriff in LA County, Robert Luna.
Thank you, Richard. And I want to thank all of you for taking time out of your guys' busy schedule to cover what we consider to be a very important topic. And I appreciate your patience. It was very important that Captain Reese introduces everybody around us because this is a significant challenge that we face. It really takes each and every one of us, including all of you sitting out there, to bring more attention to this so that we save victims from this very heinous crime. Each January, the Los Angeles County Sheriff's Department, the LAPD, and the LA Regional Human Trafficking Task Force coordinate with other law enforcement agencies and victim service providers statewide to focus on reclaiming or rescuing human trafficking victims and connecting them with victim service providers with the goal of helping them to rebuild their lives. Across our state, law enforcement agencies join to send a very strong message to pimps, exploiters, and buyers that it is absolutely unacceptable to buy another human being for sexual purposes. Working alongside law enforcement, social workers, victim advocates, and victim service providers actively worked to reach trafficking victims and provide them the vital resources necessary to put them on a path to a brighter future. Our 2024 operation yielded significant results. 54 adults were arrested. 54 adults were rescued. 11 children were rescued. 40 suspected traffickers and exploiters were arrested. 271 sex buyers were also arrested. In total, there were 539 criminal arrests made during this week-long operation. Let me be clear, human trafficking and child exploitation are devastating crimes that prey on some of the most vulnerable members of our community. This week-long operation demonstrates that if you engage in human trafficking activities, harm our children, and destroy lives, there will be absolute consequences, and there is no refuge for predators in the state of California. I want to now give you some examples that we have, and some of them are here locally or abroad with some of our partners that are surrounding us. From throughout the state, agencies have shared dramatic stories of victims, rescues, and arrest of the involved exploiters. I would like to share just a few to highlight the incredible work accomplished by the dedicated men and women who fight trafficking every day. In this first case, as an example, on January 23rd, 2024, the Los Angeles Regional Human Trafficking Task Force conducted an undercover sex buyer operation on Holt Avenue and Hershey Street in the city of Pomona. 12 males were arrested for solicitation of prostitution. One of the males was found to be in possession of a loaded firearm, and 2 of the males are registered sex offenders. In case number 2, San Diego Human Trafficking Task Force, a 17-year-old female was at the Parkway Plaza Mall in El Cajon when she was approached by an unknown male Hispanic who told her she should be a model. He presented her with a business card which read, "Hiring models for downtown gig, work for money." With a phone number, the girl called it. The number and the male told her that she would be doing date sex with guys in hotels. She showed her mother the card, who reported it to the El Cajon Police Department. El Cajon Police Department immediately noted that they had recently received a Crime Stoppers tip which described the exact same scenario where another female received the same type of business card with a male at the same location. Their investigation resulted in the identification of a suspect, Juan Pedro Barragon, male Hispanic, age of 34 years old, after the victim positively ID'd him in a photo lineup. The suspect was arrested for human trafficking of a minor, pandering, and enticing a minor for prostitution. God bless you. Human trafficking, from a Human Trafficking Awareness Month, Operation Reclaim and Rebuild was specifically timed for January, which is Human Trafficking Awareness Month. This message to the traffickers: do not do business in Los Angeles County. And actually, as I'm representative by amazing partners around me, don't do human trafficking here in the state of California, whether it's Los Angeles County, Riverside County, or any county around us, because we will find you, we will prosecute you to the fullest extent of the law. To the sex buyers, sex with the minor is nothing short of child molestation, and we aim to treat it as such. And buying sex adds to the exploitation of those involved. To the victims, you are the focus of our hard work and endeavor from all of our partners around me. We are here for you. This operation is to help you reclaim your freedom from the binds of sex trafficking and to provide you with support and the tools to rebuild your life. So with that, thank you for your patience, and I'd like to introduce Deputy Chief Alan Hamilton from the Los Angeles Police Department.
Good morning, everyone. Thank you, Sheriff Luna. And I want to thank all of our partners that are with us today, standing here as we reclaim and rebuild this region. I'm going to talk specifically about the city of Los Angeles. So today I stand before you to report on our results from our Operation Reclaim and Rebuild. It's an initiative that embodies our unwavering commitment to combating human trafficking in Los Angeles. This year, the Los Angeles Police Department has made a significant impact in this ongoing battle. 193 arrests have been made, a testament to our relentless pursuit of justice for the victims of this heinous crime. But I have some unfortunate news, and it's with a heavy heart that I must also share that we had an 80% increase in rescues this year, with our youngest victim being 14 years old. we had a total of 9 victims, 9 juvenile victims that we rescued as a result of our operation this year. And unfortunately, as part of our investigation, we were able to determine that the suspect who was trafficking this young victim, who was our youngest victim rescued this year, had actually been trafficking her since the age of 13. So that is what's going on our streets, and that is what we're combating daily. As Sheriff Luna referred to earlier, this operation is aimed at allowing our victims, mainly our juvenile victims, but all of our victims, to reclaim their lives and get to that rebuilding process, along with our partners and our non-governmental organizations that are here today as well, assisting us and acting as great partners out in the streets to get their lives back on track. And these are not just numbers. This reminds us of a grim reality. This activity is going on our streets, and this is where community policing, comes into play. We need the help of the community, and your Los Angeles Police Department wants to work closely with the communities to make sure that this activity is reduced and eliminated on our streets. We want to call this a success because we've had some success in terms of enforcement and in terms of rescues, but there's more work to do. And as we do this work going forward, we're going to rely on continuing to coordinate with the community. This year's effort in the Los Angeles Police Department areas alone resulted in a 23% increase in our arrests. 85 of our arrests were centered around the Figueroa corridor in the South Bureau area of the city of Los Angeles. That area has been frequently talked about on social media, as many people have seen. And our chief, Chief Michael Moore, has directed us throughout the department to make sure that we are providing the appropriate resources to decrease and eliminate that activity along the Figueroa corridor. So that was really one of the main areas of our emphasis during this Operation Reclaim and Rebuild. And we were successful with those 85 arrests and with those rescues in that area. And just to be clear, we are going to continue to apply that pressure to that area and continue to clean that area up and provide services and resources to our victims as we rescue them, and ensure that we get successful investigations completed and we submit those for prosecution. I'm going to circle back one more time quickly to our youngest victim. As a result of our thorough investigation and our diligence from our investigative side, we were able to detain a suspect that was identified as the trafficker, and that suspect remains in custody on no bail and has been filed on by the LA County District Attorney's Office. So that was a successful investigation from start to finish. Those are the kind of investigations that we want to work closely with our prosecuting agencies on, and we're going to ensure that we are going to continue that investigation and prosecution forward to its conclusion to make sure that suspect doesn't get out again to re-victimize and victimize other victims out on the Figueroa corridor. In addition to that, I'm going to close and then hand it off to our next speaker by saying that this is not going to be just a one-week effort and that's it. I want to make sure that, number one, our community understands that we're going to stand with you. Our victims understand that we're going to continue to work to help you reclaim and rebuild your lives, and that the suspects, number one, that are engaging in human trafficking, they need to know that we are out there. We're working in both an undercover and uniform capacity, and our aim is to take them out of business and remove them from the streets, period. Take successful investigations forward to a prosecution and remove them. To those that are coming out and that think they're doing sex buying and it's a victimless crime, I'm here to tell you right now that it is not a victimless crime. We have true victims from this activity, and we are going to aim to reduce that activity and eventually eliminate that from the city of Los Angeles as well, using all the tools that we have available, working in conjunction with our community. So that's our message from the LAPD. I'm going to now introduce Homeland Security Investigations Special Agent in Charge, Eddie Wang, and he will speak after me.
Thank you, Chief. Good morning. My name is Eddie Wong, and I'm the Special Agent in Charge for Homeland Security Investigations here in Los Angeles. After another successful Operation Reclaim and Rebuild, there are 65 victims now on the pathway to restoration, and hundreds of offenders that will now face the consequences of their actions. Through the Department of Homeland Security's Center for Countering Human Trafficking, HSI deploys a victim-centric approach when it comes to human trafficking, meaning that we place equal emphasis on the identification, rescue, and stabilization of the victims as we do on the investigation and prosecution of the offenders. And that's why my office is so proud to partner and work with like-minded agencies throughout the Southland, including the Los Angeles County Sheriff's Department, the Los Angeles Police Department, the Riverside County Sheriff's Department, and so many more agencies. Even with the success of this year's operation, there are at approximately 28 million trafficking victims worldwide, including many here in Los Angeles. So with every Human Trafficking Awareness Month that passes, it's a reminder that we can and must do more. And that includes us in law enforcement, our prosecutorial partners, service providers, the private sector, you, the media, the public. Our investigators and victim assistance professionals are working day and night to end this scourge. But law enforcement cannot do it by themselves. If we are to stand a fighting chance in erasing this stain from society, it's going to require the efforts of all of us. And whether that's through raising awareness like today, or providing information regarding suspected trafficking activities. So, if you or someone you know is in immediate danger from trafficking activity, please contact 911. To report trafficking activity, suspected trafficking activity, or trafficking victims, please contact the HSI tip line at 866-347-2423 or the National Human Trafficking Hotline at 888-373-7888. So in closing, I'd like to send a message to the victims that we have yet to rescue. We pledge that we will never stop looking for you. And to the traffickers who so callously exploit human lives for financial gain, we too will never stop looking for you so that we can hold you accountable to the fullest extent of the law. So thank you, and I'd like to introduce the District Attorney of Los Angeles County, George Gascon.
Thank you and good morning, everyone. I want to thank the Sheriff and LAPD and all the allied agencies that have worked in this operation. Our work comes after the arrests are made, and our commitment is really two-pronged. Number one, we want to make sure that those that are involved in trafficking face the harshest consequences possible. And the reason for that is because we know that the only way that we're going to reduce human trafficking is by going after those that are profiting from this activity each and every day, not only in our community, but around the nation. To that end, I want to thank our human trafficking unit. We have now centralized all of our pimping, pandering, and human trafficking cases so that we have a central focal point when law enforcement makes this arrest, to make sure that we're not only addressing the individual that is in front of us, that we have a downstream look at those cases, because we recognize that many of these cases really are part of an organized crime effort. We know that very seldom these things happen on a vacuum. To the victims, those that are in the sex working area, we know that you're often there, you have been human trafficked. You're often kidnapped, and you're there because you're fearful for your life, and we recognize, and I want to underline, we recognize that sometimes your cooperation with law enforcement could lead to your death. And for that reason, our Victim Services Unit is very committed to helping those of you that are being trafficked, not only to make sure that we're providing the services necessary to get you out of the life, but just as importantly, that we're going to protect you, we're going to relocate you when that is necessary, and we're going to wrap ourselves around you, because we recognize that part of our obligation in order to be able to prosecute these cases is to ensure that your safety is clearly guarded. To our community, I think it's important that we recognize, as it was mentioned before by some of the other speakers, this is not a victimless crime. This is a crime that preys in our community on a regular basis. This is a crime that continues to deteriorate so many of our streets and so many parts of our county. And we need to recognize that every time that we see someone being trafficked, that needs to be pointed, that needs to be reported, and that needs to be addressed. The fact that we have 12, 13, 14-year-olds out there that are being victimized on a regular basis speaks to a societal problem that we have to address with every tool at our disposal. Many of these cases will not be presented to us for quite some time, but we want to let our ally agencies and everybody else know that we're staying ready to be here with you to make sure that appropriate consequences and appropriate interventions take place. I'm going to say a couple of words in Spanish very quickly. Primero que nada, quiero dar las gracias al alguacil y a todas las otras agencias de policías involucradas en esta operación. Es una operación que pasa en todo el estado de California, pero aquí en el condado de Los Ángeles trabajamos con los departamentos de policías locales. El trabajo del fiscal es el hacer dos cosas. Número uno, aquellos que están involucrados en el tráfico de seres humanos, que los vamos a encauzar agresivamente. Número dos, para las víctimas que son tratadas como esclavas sexuales, que estamos aquí para apoyarlas y proveerle todos los servicios necesarios para poder asegurarnos de que ustedes pueden salir de esta vida y que pueden seguir su vida hacia adelante. Parte de eso incluye que nuestros servicios de víctimas están aquí no solamente para ofrecerles servicios inmediatos, pero si es necesario sabemos que a veces tenemos que también mandarlas a otras comunidades porque reconocemos el peligro que su vida tiene cuando ustedes cooperan con la policía y cuando cooperan con los fiscales. En general a la comunidad tenemos que decirle que esto es un crimen, que hay víctimas de verdad. A veces tenemos niñas de 12, de 14 años y niños que están siendo las víctimas del tráfico humano que destruye tantas comunidades. Queremos decirle a todos que estamos aquí para ayudarlos y para evitar que esto continúe en nuestra comunidad. Muchas gracias. And now I'd like to introduce Executive Director of Saving Innocence, Alan Smith.
Good morning, everybody, and I'm so grateful that you all showed up because there's an important conversation that we are having, and we're having right now. Thank you for being here. I represent here and speak on behalf of, very so briefly, 3 different groups. And spoiler alert, the third group is way more important than group 1 or 2. Group 1, as I was introduced, I'm the executive director for an anti-trafficking agency based here in Los Angeles called Saving Innocence. Heroes that work nearly around the clock. And our focus for most of these last 14 years has been the recovery and the restoration of child victims of sex trafficking. You heard a few ages so far in this morning's presentations, 14, 13, 12. I'm here to tell you we have a lot of victims turning survivors in that age group and have had a lot all the way to a few years ago. We stepped into the life of a little 7-year-old. So we are totally committed to this work. And just briefly, the focus of Saving Innocence has been threefold. One is that advocacy that I just talked about, showing up in the middle of the night oftentimes and walking with these young survivors, getting them everything that they need. 2, we realize that the biggest contributor to their vulnerability is the lack of an intact, healthy, loving, and protective family. So we became a foster family agency within Saving Innocence, recruiting and training and supporting families with the right heart and the right focus to take care of these kids, and then we're going to support them with everything we have along the way. And then the third focus has been, over the last year and a half, we stepped into co-leadership along with the Sheriff's Department of the LA Regional Human Trafficking Task Force. And it's our honor to work side by side with dozens and dozens of agencies, some law enforcement, some NGOs, all focused on the same task of disrupting this crime and taking care of those that are affected. That's group number 1. Group number 2 are the many NGOs, the many nonprofit organizations. And there's a map with some logos on it, probably in your literature. We work side by side with 40 or 50 or 60 agencies on a regular basis. And I'm here to say thank you on behalf of not only Saving Innocents, but all of them for the support that these agencies that stand behind me, as well as so many that aren't here. We love that partnership. We need that partnership. And so I say thank you on behalf of all of those NGOs, Saving Innocents included, up and down the state of California, not only just for this past week and this operation, but throughout the year. Okay, the third group. I already let you know it's the most important group that I represent. And that's these young victims. That's these young survivors. I represent them, and my team represents them. And I don't need to say a lot. I'll let some of their words speak to you this morning. In one moment of crisis, a young 15-year-old we were meeting for the first time, she's broken. It's at her most vulnerable moment. And she says to our advocate, I just want to be treated like a human being. Thank you, young 15-year-old, for defining the reality that we're living in. Vulnerable people, including children, are being subhumanly treated. They're being dehumanized, bought and sold like a commodity, one trafficker once said. I view them as a commodity, something to buy and sell. I just want to be treated like a human. Great. What a great starting point. All right, let's go, Los Angeles and beyond. Are we going to stand for that? Absolutely not. We are not going to stand for that. Another young survivor said to us, I had no choice. It wasn't my fault. It was survival. Think about that for a moment. Let that word sink in. A 14-year-old is wondering about her survival, whether or not she's going to make it to the next day or not. Now I'm surrounded by lots of men and women that are well equipped to be in life-threatening situations. They're well armed. They've been trained. They've got a friend on the radio that can call for backup. They willingly step into survival situations every day of the week. No 14-year-old or 12-year-old or 7-year-old should be asked and expected to live in a truly survival situation. It's absurd. We as a humanity have to get better. And then as my last statement, I actually got a handwritten note. When's the last time you've ever received a handwritten note? It's been a while, hasn't it? I got a handwritten note that was addressed to me and one of our advocates. I really did nothing in the equation, but somehow she heard my name, and so I got the letter addressed to me as well. And among other things, she said, thank you for a second chance at life. Wow. A lot of 15, 16, 7-year-olds are thanking you for maybe the new car they're going to drive if you're a parent, or the family vacation, or the new clothing outfit. This child is thanking us for a second chance at life. The many partners that worked together to liberate her and pull her out of that situation, the many partners that helped her with her mental health and getting her through school, she's grateful. So I close with this idea, and it's more, not less. We need more of an effort by LA County and beyond, in fact, the entire country, to combat this criminal enterprise, not less. We need more laws that interrupt this crime, not less. We need more law enforcement on the street, conducting investigations, apprehending the traffickers, not less. We need more NGOs and more funding for them, not less. Because I'm convinced there's thousands in our midst, hundreds of thousands in our country that would absolutely love a second chance at life. Thank you for being here. And for the press in this room, we need more, not less. Don't turn your cameras off. Don't put your pens down. This last week has been an operation, but it's happening all year round in this city and beyond. We need more, not less. And we don't have a minute to waste. Thank you.
I want to yell amen. Alan, that was amazing. And it shows why we're all here. how important this is, why all of our men and women work so hard to save that next child. So Alan, thank you very much. And to be honest with you, we could not do this without our private partners, our community-based organizations, our non-governmental organizations or agencies, anyone who's represented here. I've seen some walk into the room that aren't up here. It takes a team effort, and that includes each and every one of you. So remember this before I turn it over to questions. If you know of somebody who is being trafficked, whether you've met somebody personally or on social media, please, please let us know. We are ready to help, to extend a hand to the victims that are out there, and send even a stronger message to anybody who's involved in this criminal behavior that is 100% unacceptable. With that, questions, please, for any of us. Yes, ma'am.
Hi, Emily with KNX. I have a question. I heard about pulling Johns off the street and pimps off the streets, but what about social media and online? Because I know a lot of it happens online. Did any of your efforts involve online?
Simply put, all of our efforts include not only what we're doing out on the streets, but as you know, most people communicate on social media. So every agency up here represented works within our own departments. We work in these task forces, and a lot of it has to do with electronics and using that. So 100% yes, it is part of our investigative techniques and resources, which I don't want to get specifically into because we catch a lot of people. So for any of you out there using it, be cautious, because the next person you're talking to could be somebody in law enforcement. Other questions? Yes, sir.
For Mr. Gascon, penalties enhanced when you're dealing with sex trafficking with minors and adults?
So there are different components to this, right? If you're dealing with a minor, in addition to whatever all their considerations are taking, you have child endangering laws, and those are definitely part of the process. If you're pimping and pandering, there are certain penalties for that. If we can elevate that to human trafficking, again, there are additional penalties. The number of victims will also include the potential consequences. Whether you're involved in an organized criminal organization, are there weapons involved? So there are many different components that are evaluated, and that is one of the reasons why we centralize the filing for the pimping, pandering, and human trafficking, because we want to have deputies that are specialized in this area that can not only help law enforcement in order to seek the evidence that is necessary in order to make these cases. These are more difficult cases. These are generally not the cases you pick up somebody on the street. These are cases where law enforcement is working weeks, if not months, in order to put the prosecution together. One of the challenges is that often the victims are not for survival, by the way, not because they're trying, the risk is real. They're not going to necessarily cooperate with the prosecution, so we have to build cases independent of their testimony. That means that we look for social media. We look for other activities that can put together a picture that speaks to a jury about the activity of human trafficking or pimping and pandering. Those cases are complicated, especially on the prosecution side. It's really important that we recognize, and I keep saying this because we need to understand this. The people, the young people that are on the street, men and women that are being trafficked, they are in danger not only from the trafficking activity, they're in danger on the streets all the time, and our job is to make sure that they are protected. And that, for me, is more important than anything else. And we'll work very hard to put prosecutions together, but we want to make sure that they are not put at risk.
I actually have a follow-up question. Somebody mentioned the alleged pimp for the young girl had no bail. Is that because of this crime, or was it like a parole hold? Or
It's, unless we know the case, there could be so many components to that, it would be hard to say.
somebody mentioned it. Luna, was it you, Sheriff? Oh, it was you. Oh, it was you. Can you please come back up here? The no bail, is this specifically because of these child trafficking crimes, or was it a parole hold or something else?
So in this particular case, our investigators determined there was enough information to have a magistrate review subsequent to the arrest. We contacted the LA County Superior Court, did a magistrate review. The review concluded that based on the circumstances and the facts that we presented in this particular case, that individual should be held with no bail pending arraignment.
So that was to protect the victim.
It's to protect both the victim and the community.
Thank you.
Any other questions? One, going once.
Sorry, I'll ask questions all day long. Anybody else before I go? What about, so we're talking about trafficking, but sometimes there are people that traffic themselves. Are you guys still issuing citations for individual prostitution? Are they also being picked up as victims because of circumstance?
Really, yes to all the above, but all of us in law enforcement have learned significant lessons from the current environment, and that is that a lot of times when we're dealing with prostitution, we're looking deeper than just the person who's, in a sense, selling their body, right? That we've learned that they're connected to organizations, very troubling patterns of crime that's associated with that. So we look at the individuals that we get, depending on their age, and trying to focus on getting them services that they need to get them off the street, looking at the bigger picture, and more focused on the pimps or the people that are trafficking them. But that doesn't mean that somebody's out there doing something they shouldn't be doing. Every case is different, and our investigators that represent all the organizations up here are really good at what they do, and they're able to identify that. So at the end of the day, we're focused on all of it, but what we're really stressing right now are the kids. When you hear these horrific stories of 14-year-olds, 13-year-olds, and even younger, that is just bluntly something that should offend each and every one of us, each and every one of you. So that's why we're up here. That's why we're doing this. And we'll continue to do it, and we'll work as hard as we can to save our kids.
One more question. You talked about the child at the mall, but are some of these kids being recruited through social media? Where are they finding these victims?
They are recruiting them on social media. And honestly, that's why we emphasize with parents, pay attention to what your kids are doing on social media. I think all of us who are parents grow up through those difficult teenage years where you go through this rebellious stage and you're making friends and you're contacting. Social media reaches everybody. Pay attention to what your kids are doing. There has been very good sound advice to parents that if your kids are underage, there's no reason that they should have a device with them overnight. And honestly, I say overnight, but this can happen any time of the day. Pay attention to what your kids are doing, and that's the only way we're gonna get there. So hopefully that answers your last question, and I appreciate all of you coming out, and thank you. We do appreciate the questions because we know you care. And I want to thank again everyone who's up here and all the men and women who represent the agencies they're representing. We are truly working our butts off to stop this. So thank you very much.
Can we do some in Spanish on the side?
Yeah, absolutely.